What's up, guys? Dual Coast Podcast, March 18th. We are live, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Russ, 5:30 a.m. by him. Russ, how you feeling today? Can you hear me over there, Russ? Hear me over there, Russ?
Yes.
All right, there you are. How are we feeling today?
Seems like our connection's a little off today.
Little off today, I think. Yeah. How you doing over there? You hear me?
Yes.
How are we doing over there?
Good, man. Yeah, we're with little technical difficulties here the last couple of minutes, but live and well here in Cali.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah. How are things with you?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. Just working. We had a little discussion a few minutes ago. Feeling good. It's early
Yeah,
over
you got
here.
your scrubs on? Are you wearing your scrubs?
Still wearing my scrubs. Yeah, still wearing my scrubs.
Did you sleep in them?
I didn't sleep in these. I slept in different ones, but I did sleep in scrubs. Just not these.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Got a shower in this morning, flipped into some new ones. So I'm dressed for the occasion, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Right on, man.
That's
do
it.
you have to go into the office today?
No, not today.
No.
Not today.
Okay.
Just coming off last night and then back tomorrow.
Woo!
That's it, man.
All right.
That's it, man.
Let's go, baby.
That's it, man. Russ is looking sharp today, guys, with his background over there. I hope everybody likes that.
Yeah, something a little new. I'm over at my mom's house actually, and so I was talking to my son. I was like, "Hey, what kind of background do you think I should go? Here in the house. She's got a lot of wood stuff in her house." He's like, "Dude, go in the office." And so I peeked into the office because I didn't even think about it. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool, man. So we got a little Coke action. Well, which side? Here we go. We got a little Aikman action. Yeah.
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
So little red to spice up the morning. It's better than my boring white background.
There you go.
Although I got the clock and I got Kobe Bryant, which is the man.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's Kobe does spice it up for you. That's true. I got to get a Kobe behind me. All right. Still with me over there?
Yeah. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're gonna power through this today. We have no live Instagram.
Yeah, we got no live Instagram.
We're gonna make it happen, and let's go.
That's it. So today, guys, we're gonna talk a little bit about recovery. We talked a lot about wellness, and we talked a lot about physical health with a lot of these people we've had on over the past few weeks or so since we started. But we haven't discussed anything about recovery as far as recuperating from training. What goes into the physical aspect of training as far as coming back from that, cold plunges, a little bit about sauna, acupuncture, physical therapy, rehabilitation, things like that. And Russ probably has a fair amount of experience actually with this from being a trainer for a number of years. Probably a lot of his clients that he coached, I would assume, Russ, you had to train to recover simultaneously, right? People needed to recover from what they were doing as far as muscle training, physical training, mental training, whatever you want to say. There has to be some sort of recovery to all of that in some way, shape, or form. Russ, you agree with that? Still hear me over there, Russ? No? With me? Got a little technical difficulties here, guys. No.
I got you now.
You got me now?
Yeah, but I haven't heard the last 1 minute of whatever you said.
Okay, so I was just saying how there's a lot of recovery aspect. I was saying a lot of your clients probably through the years from a physical training standpoint, you probably taught them how to recover simultaneously. You didn't train them on the same body part or same region every single day. You brought in an aspect of recovery with all those clients that you used to see from a personal training standpoint and even a coaching standpoint. you wouldn't train your athletes to do the same thing every single day. You used to recover the body parts, you used to let them rehab in some sort of way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of what I did is I worked specifically with baseball and softball athletes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, some of these kids I would just have, for one session, right? I would get them for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. So we wouldn't really dive into that. But a lot of the kids that I had that were, a year up to, I think my longest client was like 9 years. And so, I took them from basically junior high all the way into college. And so, we dealt with a lot more of the recovery aspect, the importance of rest, the importance of hydration. We
Sure.
covered a lot of that. We did a lot of movements as far as like quick twitch, kind of stuff. Because when you think about, sports, right? When you're thinking about baseball and softball, it's not long distance running. We're not training for miles. It's not necessary to train for miles
Good point.
because everything is quick twitch, quick twitch. It's agility, it's speed, it's
Yeah.
quickness, it's drop step, it's getting that first step of explosiveness. So, we would talk about those things, but a lot of what I did was a lot about hydration,
Sure.
right? Because and hydration, when for those that are working out, for those that don't know, hydration begins in advance. And specifically, if we knew like we were going to go to Arizona and we were going to play there and it was going to be 95 to 100, the game that I had the most heat at was at a tournament in Roseville, which was 114, and we played on a turf field. It was extremely hot. So knowing that we were going to go into this, I was telling the boys at that time is that, guys, hey, we've got to hydrate, but we've got to hydrate way before
Interesting.
that event,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
once you get to the event, it's too late.
Too late. Right.
It's too late. So hydration was a huge part of it, but getting rest prior, during, after, because that's a huge part of recovery. And of course, and you can touch on, the aspect of cold plunge, and I'll tell you a story about that. But tell us about, from your opinion, what do you think about the cold plunge?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of recovery modalities that a lot of people utilize, and cold plunging seems to be the biggest trend now. Ice baths, cold plunges, and stuff like that. I think from a standpoint of recovery, it definitely helps to a high degree. Um, but there's also a fine line from what I'm understanding from a lot of research papers that don't allow also for muscle hypertrophy and things of that nature past a certain point. So they say cold plunging past 3 days a week actually is, I don't want to say detrimental, but it can have a negative aspect towards your actual muscle hypertrophy and things like that. But do I think from an aspect of recovery, it's good to do as far as healing those fibers, as far as decreasing inflammation? Yeah, I do, honestly. Ice baths have been preached for a number of years now by a lot of big scientists, a lot of research articles on them. I think a lot of it actually stemmed from cryotherapy
Yeah.
that was working for a lot of people for isolated areas like shoulder injuries and hip injuries and things like that. They started with cryo. And then I think that cryo kind of trended into cold plunging from there. Some people
Hmm.
may argue that cold plunging came first. I'm not sure. But I think that's what happened. And I do agree from an aspect of recovery, it definitely is crucial to do something of that nature, so to speak, that
Yeah.
you want some sort of ice or something of the cold realm to decrease inflammation in those body parts. I just think that past a certain point, it probably hinders recovery in some way, shape, or form because you're working against hypertrophy, you're working against things like that. And I've listened to a couple of people online who actually say that they agree with that whole standpoint. Um, However, I do think it's crucial to recover in some way, shape, or form via ice, via therapy, rehab, things like that. But I do agree with cold plunges. I do agree with cryo, and I think they help a lot.
Yeah, I always wanted to do the cryo, but I could never get myself to pull the trigger and make it happen.
Yeah, yeah,
But I live by the ocean. It's 50 degrees, and it's pretty cold.
got
And
your own, got your own cryo.
yeah, I've got my own huge cryo right there. But I do have a buddy that he's a surfer, and he drives over and parks near me, near my place, And if he doesn't surf or he doesn't, paddleboard, he'll jump in, but he has a tub next to his sauna. And I tell you, last winter of 2024, my mom has a pool.
Yeah.
And so my son was going through, some cryo and stuff or not cryo. He was going through some cold plunges. He's like, Dad, let's do it, middle of winter. So I was like, all right, let's go for it,
Yeah.
And so he dove in and I walked in, which is probably the worst, but
Yeah.
I got into this praying mode. I had the water, right up here to my neck, and I was
That's
just
hard
like
to do,
this.
man.
And I'm telling you, the first 30 seconds was painful. It hurt so bad, but
Yep.
then, we had put a song on the side of the pool. And, after I got past that first 30, 40 seconds, then, okay, then because I was like, oh man, I was so tight, I just couldn't relax.
Yeah.
Did I feel better? Yes. Have I done it again? No. But the thing is that like I got in the shower, I got warm, but then for 2 hours after that, like you could feel in your hands and your feet, like the coldness was still there.
Really.
So people who have the ability to have a cold plunge and then have the sauna, then you get that double, recovery mode, right? And then
Sure.
that heat gets into your body, right?
Sure.
And they definitely say that it's beneficial, but how many people have a pool, have an ocean, are going to go out and buy a horse trough? Now you could do a cold shower, but
Sure.
it is kind of different. But I can see how it does impact our bodies.
Yeah.
And then having the cold and the heat, which is super beneficial, in recovery mode. I am not one specifically to talk about the benefactors of it because, like I said, I've only done it one time.
Right.
So I guess for those, like my buddy who does it routinely, he said, man, he's in his 70s.
Right.
So, I mean, I was thinking, man, my heart is going to just pound out of my chest because I was so cold. But once you get into it, I am a believer that it's affects the body and will impact you for the long term and do some great things for you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think also a lot of people use this as a mental strength standpoint too, simultaneously. The fact that you can actually go into this cold water for 3 to 5 minutes and kind of have the mental strength and the mental fortitude to stay in there
Yes.
for, and a lot of people start with 30 seconds, they'll increase to a minute and then go to 2 minutes and 3 minutes and 4 minutes and
Yes.
so on. And I think even from a standpoint of recovery, yes, it's probably aiding them to some degree, but I think a lot of people use it for a mental strength standpoint also. Like, okay, I stayed in there for 3 minutes, I could do 4 minutes tomorrow and keep building up that mental fortitude to get back into that cold plunge.
Yeah.
Heat obviously is a little bit easier. People like to sauna a lot. Sauna is obviously a little bit more relaxing than that. You can kind of watch TV in the sauna and throw your headphones on and then just sit back.
Totally different experience.
So that's a little bit different from the standpoint of recovery. I don't think anybody's sauna is for mental strength.
Right.
But, I do think people get in that cold plunge because the mental aspect of things kind of plays a role in what they're doing. They sit there, they take on that cold, they can fight it with it, every fiber in their body. And then, try not to shiver, try not to shake, try not to talk, and they just focus on that cold. And I think that has a lot more mental to it than it does physical. And I think that's great for people from a mental standpoint too, like I said.
Yeah. There's four guys I would say for about 2 weeks. There were 4 guys that would come out about every other day.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, about 7 a.m. And they would come and they've got all their sweats on, their robes and everything. They would meet at the ocean, and then they would go and they would just walk in. Guys would dive in and they would always come up and they're just like, woo! It's like, I mean, it's so cold, and then to sit there, 3 to 4 minutes and then get out. I'm sure they felt better afterwards, but man, the initial shock is definitely the most difficult part. But I will agree 100% that it is the mental challenge just as important as the recovery.
Yeah.
Because, if you can go through that, you can prove to yourself, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It is not easy. I'm telling you, for anybody that has not done it, it is not easy.
Yeah. No, it's definitely very, very difficult. But I think from a standpoint of mental strength, it's probably one of the hardest things you can do, honestly, is from that standpoint, as far as sitting in there, taking on that pain, fighting your own, you fighting your own demons the entire time. And they're like, okay, I got to last 30 seconds. I got to last another 15 seconds. Getting in the gym and stuff like that, that can be painful, but you put those weights down, you could rest a little bit. If you're in there, you're in there. There is no
Yes.
getting out. There is no changing it. There is nothing getting better. There's nothing getting, nothing aiding you at any point. So
That's
I think
right.
for a lot of people, that mental strength actually plays a huge role in those cold plunges. I mean, it's great from that standpoint because how many things can really, I mean, a lot, I'm sure a lot can, but how many things can really test your pain threshold and your mental strength simultaneously like that?
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure there's a few that I can't really think of at the moment, but that's one that really comes to mind. If I had to say somebody who, really testing their limits, it's that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. And that's just one method of recovery, guys. I mean, cold plunges is one thing, saunaing is another thing. A lot of people have talked about saunas and getting like red light therapy, things like that in their homes, which I mean, I would love to obtain one day. And it's from a standpoint of vasodilation, increasing the size of vessels, if that makes any sense, to increase blood flow to certain parts of the body, the muscles, the brain. And also from a standpoint of recovery, sauning is great. Decreases cardiovascular risk in a lot of people, lowers cholesterol levels. It's shown to do. Um, and these are also things you could do without taking medication or taking pills and things like that. These are natural, in a way, therapies, receiving red light, sunlight, cold plunging, all kind of natural remedies to heal the body, which I think is, key. And me and Russ try to concentrate on a lot of those things without, as we like to say on this, magic bullets. That's not a magic bullet. It's something you
Right.
have to endure. It's something you go through. It's something to help heal. And, we try to steer away from magic bullets on the show. We try to focus on the holistic, for lack of better words, way to heal yourself. Right, Russ?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, let's take a moment, Dan, to talk about, the everyday person,
Sure.
somebody who doesn't belong to a gym.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't have access to ocean, doesn't have access to sauna, maybe doesn't have the money, right, to be, to invest in any of those things,
Yeah. It's
or
expensive. Sure.
invest in a gym membership.
Yep.
So let's address the everyday person, who can't do those things,
Sure.
in recovery mode. And I'll talk from my standpoint is I go to a garage 2 doors over from me.
Yes.
I have a client right by the beach, so I bought about a couple $100 worth of equipment. Everything is about bands. I have 2 dumbbells, 30 pounds. That's it. I do very little with the dumbbells. I do a lot of stretching. I do a lot of band work. I do speed rope. I do have a bike. And so I use the Peloton, to do cardio. I do a lot of walking. So
Sure.
those are things that I do. But as far as recovery for me is rest,
Yeah.
rest and stretching. Those are two of the critical things that I think, whenever you go and work out, is rest, even in the middle of the day, power nap. Some people have a problem as far as like resting in the middle of the day, or their job, they can't do it. For me, I know when I hit a wall in the afternoon, and I have a very light lunch. I usually do like a chicken salad,
Yeah.
typically for lunch. And so it's very, very light. And so I don't want to hit that wall at the noon hour by eating a heavy, heavy load. But sometimes I just need to close my eyes. I can quickly fall asleep. I'll set my alarm for 10 minutes and I'll get that 10-minute power nap. And I'll tell you, that just rejuvenates me immediately for the long haul and into the night.
Sure.
So, so that recovery mode is really good for my day as far as my brain work. Then at night, proper rest, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. But stretching is a great way, for recovery. Take a nice light walk, not extensive, heart rate, right, kind of walk, but just getting out and just taking a nice easy walk is a great way, to recover. So these are things that I do. And meditation. If you can take 5 to 10 minutes of just quiet time, you could do that while you're stretching.
Yeah.
So these are you can combine those kinds of things. If you need to put on some peaceful music, or you just want to sit in solitude, those are fine. But these are things that I do that I don't pay for. I don't pay for a gym membership. I don't pay for a sauna. I don't do those things.
Yeah.
I do what works best, for me, for the everyday person.
Right. Right. I think stretching actually is something that's really overlooked as far as decreasing injury and things like that from the gym. Most people like to go in there, work out wherever it be, but they really lack on the stretching and decrease the mobility. Everybody works on functional strength and regular strength and, throwing all the weights around, but I think they don't work on mobility enough.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge thing to prevent injury, and simultaneously it's also kind of therapeutic to you, stretching and, feeling better and feeling looser and things like that. Everybody focuses on, the mirror muscles and things like that, but they don't really focus on the mobility of those muscles. They focus more on the enlarging them, the strengthening them, the toning of them, but they don't look at it from an aspect of, elasticity and mobility. So I know I agree with that 100%. And also the sleeping, like you said, I think that's probably the number one thing as far as recovery goes from a standpoint of anybody, regardless of doing all this heat and all this types of therapies and all that. I think sleep is probably the most important thing that you could do to recover from anything physical, is probably getting adequate amount of rest. What do you usually sleep at night, Russ? Like 6 hours, 7?
Yeah, I'm usually like 6 to 7,
Yeah, me
somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, me too.
If and I try to go to bed. I'm usually in bed by 10 o'clock ish.
Yeah.
And usually, to sleep by 10:30
Yeah.
on a typical night.
Yeah.
And then usually I set the alarm for 5:30, 5:45. And if I happen to go to bed at 11, I'll get up at 6. But I really try to strive for 6.5 to 7 is kind of like my ballpark, right?
100%. Yeah.
And on the stretching part of it too, it's not just important to stretch before
Yeah.
doing exercise, it's also important to
After.
post stretch afterwards. So
Yeah.
taking that time, even just really deep breaths and opening it up your body, lifting up your chest, pulling your hands behind your back and breathing high up through your body is really, really important. So even if you only take a few minutes after your workout, it's better than none. You know what I mean?
Totally
So
agree.
yeah, and so those are some simple things that we can do as far as recovery. And then something that we touched on, earlier in the show is hydration.
Yeah.
Making sure you stay hydrated all the time. And you may be a Gatorade person, you could be in, what is that, Armor?
Yeah.
Armor
Body
drink,
armor.
like
Body
body
armor.
body
Body
armor.
armor.
Yeah, something, but stay away from high sugar drinks. That's
Yeah.
really important. Stay away from
Absolutely.
high, but the most important thing is just water. Drink a lot of water.
Yep. Yep.
They, I think they recommend at least 64 ounces,
Correct.
of water a day. So if you're not getting that 64, then you're probably not being hydrated.
Yeah.
So, and coffee doesn't count, by the way.
Very true. And we're both guilty of that one too. But
Cheers.
exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I think from a standpoint of stretching and rest and getting adequate recovery, I think that's crucial. We always focus, or everybody always focuses on the strengthening and the, looking better and the mirror and everything like that. But a lot of people don't take the time to recover. They don't get that adequate rest. They don't get that adequate stretching in, that adequate, decreasing inflammation in the body. I think that's overlooked a lot in the rehab process. And I think everybody focuses more so on the training, but not the recovery. And a lot of times the recovery actually will enhance the training and enhance the look and everything. So I think that's from a standpoint of even looking better. And I know that's everybody's single goal is to look better and feel better, of course, but people lack the recovery aspect of it. When you lack the recovery aspect, you're not getting all you can get out of this whole training program or this whole process. So I do think that, all the standpoints that we talked about today, guys, are crucial to looking better, feeling better, whatever you want to call it. Russ, you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I hope that, through something today, as far as recovery mode, that, something touched, with you guys, right? And there's something that you can do, whatever kind of workout that you're getting in. But the most important thing is taking time for yourself to do some of these simple things. If you can't do the cold plunge, if you can't do the sauna, right? You can't do the cryotherapy, which I think not many people do. But if you can't do those things, then at least do these little small steps along the way
Yep.
of hydration, rest, stretching, meditation, taking nice walks. These are things that you can do in your recovery mode. Let's say if you go out and you do a strenuous, bike ride, get off the bike, stretch a little bit, and then just take, 500 steps and just get out there and just relax a little bit after a grueling workout, on your bike. Those are things that kind of really decrease the heart rate, but also breathing at a normal level in recovery. And I think these are critical things that you can do in your recovery mode after your workout.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yep. I think we're probably going to land the plane there, guys, with this. But yeah, hopefully, this changed a little bit of how you guys think about recovery. Get you a little bit to recover, maybe in a little bit of different aspect, get people stretching a little bit more, taking those steady state walks, even to recover. More than welcome to try the cold plunges, even though me and Russ had, mixed opinions about how you're going to feel as far as pain and mental aspect, but definitely welcoming to try that. And, totally agree with everything Russ just said as far as recovery and sleep. And, adequately, you want to try to get your 8 hours in, but in today's society, I think getting 8 hours of sleep is kind of difficult for a lot of people. By the
Absolutely.
time you get home, from work, you have children, you want to cook dinner, things like that. By the time you actually get to rest or you actually get to turn your brain off a little bit in the house, I think that's becomes late, and then you're back up early the next day trying to go at it again. So I think the standpoint people should really try to shoot for is probably 6 to 7 hours. If you can get your 8 in or even greater, that's awesome. But I just think it becomes difficult, more and more difficult to get that adequate amount of sleep in. And Russ, I'm sure you agree with that too. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we all know that when we close out our show, man, the most important statement we talk about, right, is what?
Yep. Wellness is not perfection, but it's about progress.
That's right.
Yep.
Right. So when you think about it from a mental standpoint, when you think about it from a physical standpoint, don't try to be perfect.
That's it.
Do not strive for perfection, because wellness is about progress. It's about taking steps each and every day.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully something today struck a chord with you, and you'll improve in your daily wellness about recovery.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, guys. March 18th, Dual Coast Podcast signing off, guys. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on X. Follow us on TikTok. We're here on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Check us out, guys. We'll see you next week. Okay.